Hi, welcome to Bad Music Taste and Other Ways to Ruin Your Life. My name is Dominic.
And my name is Sam.
Sam has this week's record.
This week's record is Road to Ruin by the Ramones. This record was originally released September 21st, 1978 on Sire Records. The copy I have here is a repressing on blue vinyl. But anyways, today we're talking to Vinnie Fiorello from Less Than Jake, The Inevitables, and Paper and Plastic Records. How are you, Vinnie?
You know what? I'm doing really good. How about you?
I'm all right.
Pretty good.
Awesome.
As good as you can be on a school day.
You know what? I just picked up my daughter from school. She's 9. So it's wild that, throughout the day, I'm sort of in working either on music or on the business of music. And then I have to go and kind of grab her and then stop. But it's awesome to hear what she did during the day and all that.
Is she actually going to school?
Yeah, she goes to school now. It's not online. She had a choice either to do it online or to go to school, and we chose to go there. It's not a public school, it's a private school. So all of the doors face out into sort of a quad area. So nothing's like going into a building. Everything has its own doors. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's safe and it's small classes. So we figured, hey, go back. And I mean, she was with us in March is when her school stopped. So
us too.
Yeah, it was 6 months and we were like, you got to see somebody. Are you going to, like she plays Minecraft and Roblox. So she talks to a lot of her friends online, right? That way. Yeah. But it's not the same as seeing someone face to face and kind of talking it out, right?
Yeah. We're both on online school, and I mean it's difficult, but at this point I feel like it's better than actually going. I would much rather be at the school if there wasn't a pandemic.
But, exactly.
Yeah.
It definitely has its pros and cons. I'll say that much.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to be able to kind of work at your own pace and do things like that. But you want to have some kind of connection with other people, right? And if we want to swing it into like the music side of things, it's like music's meant to be shared, but music also makes connections and things like that. And if you're a music head, you want to share it with people, and a lot of that time is live music. It can't happen right now, right? And I don't necessarily know when that is going to come back, but there's people that are trying to do it, right, and do it safely, but it's not the same experience. But it's similar, what I think, with school with my daughter, right? It's that you can do it, right? You guys are doing it. You can do it at home, but when you're interacting with other people, whether it be people in class or your teacher, there's a certain different connection that happens to it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I mean, like, the social aspect of online school obviously isn't going to be as good as
a little lacking.
Yeah, but I mean, just even like communication with your teachers is not the greatest at the moment.
Yeah, it's really difficult because like teachers have emails that of course we were using before, but now it's like that's the only way to contact them. So everybody's doing it at the same time, and it's a little messy. But I understand everybody's health coming first, of course. So nobody's comfortable.
Yeah, and that's saying the teacher knows technology too. So when things first happened, our daughter's teacher didn't really have it together, right? So
in the spring it was harder. Like they had to go through training for the summer and all.
Now attendance is if you show up to the Google Meets. And before it was like Google Meets are optional. They had like 2 weeks to plan everything because they thought it was only going to be a 2-week thing. We're like, you're coming back like this day, the 27th. And they were like, April 1st? And then it went from April 1st to April 27th. And then I think it was like May that they said, you're not coming back.
Yeah. Like, do you have did they say that, okay, at the end of the first 9 weeks or the second 9 weeks, are they going to go, hey, maybe you guys can come back, or no? Is it just, yeah?
So like on the topic of that, in as far as our state goes, there are schools that are doing the 2 days a week, or like going back, like a lot of private schools are, like as you said with your daughter. But for a school like ours, it's hard just because there's such a big population.
Yeah, there's like 2,000 kids at our school.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's not a huge building. You know, I mean, there's a lot of shoulder to shoulder contact, and they want to bring us back at like, I think the end of January is when the date is. And as much as I'm seeing hope because other places are doing it, I know our school specifically, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah. If like, I just hope that they give us a choice if they do say that we're going to go back. Cause I just don't feel comfortable like knowing my school, like knowing the kids at my school,
knowing the kids who wouldn't wear masks.
Yeah. Well, I feel like if you're not wearing a mask, they just won't let you in. But I feel like there's gonna be the kid who like wears it below his nose. They don't care, because how are you gonna enforce that?
You can't really do that.
No, I mean, that's what we had the questions with my daughter's teacher. Like, how are you going to it? You know, if a kid has it below his nose or pulls it down, how many times is that going to happen until, you know, something, okay, you have to go home, or you're going to call your parents, or you're going to get whatever. You can't enforce it. You could try to enforce it, but you can't put a punishment to it. There's no way that can happen, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
I like, the most you can do is say, put your mask back on, and how does that's going to do anything? And then if you say, go home, they got what they wanted.
It's true. It's truth on that, you know? So we've been taking it 1 week at a time, right? So
yeah, totally.
And that's what you have to do at this point. And I don't know, there's a craziness that is happening, right? And you can't control it. All you have to do is react to it, unfortunately, right now, right? And there's other people who could be proactive, whether that be scientists or whether that be someone in the health field. But for us, we just have to react to it and be safe and have the best practices. And I co-own a tattoo shop in Gainesville, where I'm at. So, and we've been open for a few months already. And what's crazy is that, you know, our best practices basically is what, if you went to a doctor, right? Our best practices are equivalent to that. The door is locked and then comes back, you know, when, you know, door's locked, someone comes up to the door, you get checked, you have to sanitize, you have to have your mask on the entire time. And that's what you have to do, because that's the best practices. We want our employees to be safe. We want the people that come and get tattooed to be safe as well. So you have to do all those things. And there's some people always that go, I don't want to wear a mask. Or, are you serious that I have to wear a mask? Like, well, if you want to get tattooed, then yeah, you have to get a mask.
Yeah, it's funny that you bring that up. That was my first question. I was going to say, just like, how has that been keeping it going? I mean,
it's crazy, you know. Again, it's like just best. It's all about best practices, and you know,
best interest of the people.
Yeah, and not only that, it's just that doing everything that you can to keep it capped as far as health. You know, so in our headspace, when we decided to open back up, we knew that, you know, mask had to be mandatory. You know, to come in. And you can't bring, you know, usually you could bring any, you know, 3, 4, 5 people, your family, to watch you get tattooed. Now that's not the case. You are allowed to, we prefer you come alone. But if you don't feel comfortable coming alone, then you have one guest that you're allowed, and then that's it. You can't have a room full of people that are waiting. We don't have anyone that waits inside the tattoo shop.
Right.
You have to come in and then you go to your artist. I mean, but if we switch to like the music side of it, I had been working on the Inevitables with my friend Obi, who sings in Westbound Train. And we met in mid-February to finish the Inevitables like songwriting.
Yeah.
And when he went back, and Alex Stern was there as well from Big D and the Kids Table, they went home, and I was going to come up in April and we were going to record together. right? And as soon as March hit, I went, dude, we're definitely not going to record together. So
yeah,
everything we on the fly and right off, we just started to figure out how to do this project remotely. So everybody that's involved is all, each person went into their own studio and did it. So it's crazy how many times it changed hands, the drive. But that could never have happened if technology wasn't as good as it is, right? So I don't know. On the one side of it, it's great because technology has a place in music, right? And it's helped everybody, and as well as school and just general communication with other people. If you didn't have that technology, I don't know, I think the world would be in a crazier place than it is right now, because you have the ability to stream Netflix and stream, it's if you started listening to Apple Music or Spotify right now, in your lifetime, you couldn't listen to the amount of music that's available to you, which is mind blowing.
Yeah, technology has made it a lot better. Like, if this was like 20, 30 years ago, just spinning the same records that you already had.
Yeah.
But now you can listen to the new music that's coming out, because people are still putting out new music, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, the records are still getting put out, because we've talked about a couple times on here, like, people postponing record, releases, which, like, okay, but the whole point of the record isn't just to make money off of it. You should be wanting to give that creativity that people can feed off of, you know?
I agree with you guys. I think that people who postpone their records, people will remember that. There was a moment that you could have added to the sort of soundtrack of what was going on. You could have added some comfort and a life jacket to what was happening, and you didn't, because it was part of a marketing plan. And people will always remember that. I disagreed with everybody that went. I had friends, and even I had records on the shoot for Paper and Plastic that went, we're going to wait until we could tour. I'm like, I disagree 100% with what you're going to say. And that to me, I think that people want and need music in their life. I know how I feel about music, and music's been an anchor for me. Music's been a life jacket for me. Music's been the happiest moments. Music's been there to be a soundtrack for the most horrible moments of that I've lived so far. And it's an important aspect to my daily life and a ton of other people, to just keep it away for hopefully a better time so you could sell more records. It gets thumbs down all around for me.
Yeah, it's just not right.
Like, we have to tour to promote it better. Like, you say promote, but
you really mean just making more money.
Promote is just your excuse.
It's crazy for me. How can I put it? It's that when I look at modern music, I look to like SoundCloud rap and things like that, where there's a moment where people are going, hey, I have, a legal beats, or a friend of mine who does beats on a downloaded bootleg copy of a 4-track digital player, right? And they're just creating by any means necessary, right? And then as soon as they create it, it went up on SoundCloud for people to download or stream. For me, I look to that for the inevitables and go, that's what I want to do. So when me and Obi were talking about the inevitables, I went, I always want to be creating music. So right now we have the Inevitable. There's 2 tracks of the Inevitables that are out. The full record comes out October 30th. On Friday, though, we have a side band that appears in the comic book. So it's a comic book band that is in the comic book, not the soundtrack to the comic book, if that makes sense, right? Called Who Will Meet Me at the Gates. And it has Zach from the Pair singing on it. And then myself, Obi from Westbound, and Alex from Big D wrote the music and the lyrics for it. So we have Cool Meet Me at the Gates announce on tomorrow, on Friday. First song out tomorrow. It comes out November 16th. Yeah, November 16th. That EP comes out. Then we're working on an Inevitables dub record currently. And that'll be out in December sometime. We have 2 other songs that'll be out in February. We have 1 song that we're working on, and then we're working on LP 2 as well. So like I always want to be creating in this project.
Yeah.
Before, like with Less Than Jake, it's always on, you have to be on album cycle. And I never agreed with on album cycle. I thought you should always be creating.
Yeah. Create when you feel creative.
Yeah, if you have 1 song, you should record that 1 song and put it out.
Right?
It's no big deal. I think with the Inevitables, that was from the beginning, the idea was to always create, whether it be visually or whether it be musically, to always push it out there.
Yeah, and it's like I said, it's so funny that you're bringing up like what I'm gonna ask about. I was gonna say, you guys announced the record on the about October 30th. What did you guys sorry, my curiosity was, what made you guys want to incorporate characters along with the music?
Well, I think that, ultimately the idea came from, I was on tour with Less Than Jake. We were in Japan, and I sort of this weird sort of inspiration happened, and I jotted it down. And basically I wanted to have a visual of whether it be a TV show, a comic book, a movie, whatever it is. But I also at the same time wanted to write that soundtrack to what was going on. So with the Inevitables, we went, okay, video wise, like a TV show wise or something like that, was too wide of a target. There's, it's I don't know anything about a TV show. I put out some comic books before, right? So for me, I went, okay, comic book, and then we're going to do these other things, but we're going to write the soundtrack to the comic book. And that was where it started, right? And some people go, well, is it like a rock opera where there's characters that are singing? No, right? It's not. It's not that at all. It's a soundtrack to the comic book that's coming out, right? And that's out in November. So the crazy thing for me is that I don't think people put the visual aspect and the musical aspect together as much as they should, right?
Yeah.
I'm guilty of it as well. If I'm in the car and I dial up, I prefer Apple Music more than Spotify. Okay, it's just whatever it is. So Apple Music, I have so much in there. I just like, okay, cool, I'm going to listen to this. And I don't even know, before I was such a hound for a lyric sheet and who the band is and look at pictures and everything. Now I'm like, I couldn't even tell you on some songs that I love, I couldn't even tell you what the name of that song was. I just know that, hey, it's by so-and-so, and I think the name is this, whatever. Right. But that's what that's what streaming has given us. It's that this magic of endless amounts of music at your fingertips, but the detail on it is lost, right? So you're holding that Ramones record, and you're going, that there's something that's so tactile about it. Here's the smell of what that cardboard smells like. Here's what the vinyl is. Here's what the vinyl sound is. Here's lyric sheet. Here's what Ramones look like on the lyric sheet. Oh, here it is. You don't get that from just streaming. So I wanted to bring the visual element back into the musical element and marry them back up. And that's sort of what we're doing. And so anything that we release, there's an art component to it. So for Meet Me at the Gates, that sort of side band to the Inevitables, we have art for every one of the songs that are on there from this artist, Tomo77, who during the quarantine was doing these like really cool medieval sort of weird political art every day. He was posting it, and I was following along. I went, hey, we're also writing this other thing. We should put them together and And thankfully, he agreed and said, "Yeah, I'm totally down for that, and I'll go for the ride with you guys." And the art, I'm super proud of to have married to that project because it's brilliant, man, and it's spooky and it's a little bit dark, but man, it fits. It fits what Who Will Meet Me at the Gates is, which is cool.
Yeah, I think that's really neat. That's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, like when you have a record and there's a lyric sheet in it, you get to see who they thanked, like the bands that they were listening to when they made that record, and like you can't get that through streaming.
No, you can't. I mean, I discovered more music than I care to think about just by the thanks list in a record.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
I mean, and that's what it is. And I know that if you talk to someone who worked at Spotify, they would go, "That's what we have Discovery, weekly for. That's what we have." But it's not the same.
Right.
But
how do you know those bands listen to? Like
they don't. It's just an algorithm. It's just AI that hey, someone listened to Dillinger 4. That person who listened to Dillinger 4 also listened to the Arrivals. So we're gonna push it into that. That algorithm is gonna make this like 35 bands that if this one person listened to it, these other bands would be in that line, which is kind of crazy.
Right.
It doesn't change the fact that the best discovery for music is you know, and so it's not a AI program or it's not an algorithm from Spotify or Apple Music. It's you going, yeah, I really am in love with this, and then I heard this and I'm really in love with that. And my best sort of scenario on there, I like the Flaming Lips, but I'm not a huge fan of the Flaming Lips, right? Like I understand that what they're going for, but I've never been a fan, like a fanboy for their music. I've heard some songs. What is Yoshitomi? I forget the name of the record. Battles Pink Robots, right? And I like that record. I wasn't in love with it, as you could tell. But a friend of mine during quarantine went, "Hey, what are you listening to?" I went, "I'm listening to this. I'm listening to this. I'm listening." And he's like, "I'm listening to the 2 singles that are out for the Flaming Lips. You really should go check it out. Like off their new record." I went, "I'm not a fan." He goes, "You like My Morning Jacket though, right? Because we've had this conversation." And I go, "Yeah, I like My Morning Jacket." And he's like, You're really going to like the Flaming Lips." And I went, "Okay." And I went and listened to it and I absolutely love the new record. And there's it's more song structured and there's much more for me to grab onto hook wise. And it's a record I love, right? But Spotify could tell, there's no way that Spotify or Apple Music could have suggested that I should go find the new Flaming Lips record, right?
Right, because we brought up like the lyric sheets, but even like as you talked about, like your friend reaching out to you with that, like Dominic and me have traded music back so many times, like back and forth, and found so much through it. Like I've learned so much just about who we're talking to on the podcast because of that.
Yeah.
So it's super important, to trade music back and forth.
Yeah, it's easier now than it's ever been, but before I'd have to, duplicate a cassette. And then after that, I had to burn a CD.
Right.
And now I could just dump some files into a Dropbox, or I could make a playlist and I can invite them to the playlist. So again, I think technology is a huge component in the popularity and the renaissance of music, right? As a listener. So enjoy it. I think that on the other side of it, technology helps the creator of music, but it also hurts the creator of music, So we won't get into that though, because we could talk forever on that.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, like I still listen to records and I still collect cassettes. Don't do too much with CDs, but I mean,
you'll be surprised though, because a friend of mine, he's in a popular band, and I saw that they did 5,000 CDs, right? And I was like, how did your CDs go? You did 5,000 of them. It's like, we sold out in 6 hours of these 5,000 CDs. I'm like, really? And people look at it as, what you would look like as a tape, and things. It's just a dead format, but there's something collectible about that dead format. So those 5,000 CDs sold out, and I was like, right on. And think about how many people still have a CD player in their car.
We have one.
Yeah.
I have one.
So there it is, right? So if someone said, hey, you could get this for whatever, and it's a limited edition, well, you can listen in my car, whatever, and throw it in.
Yeah, like I definitely admit to a couple times probably buying the same album on CD and vinyl. I've done that. Oh, yeah. But Dominic definitely turned me on to more vinyl because I was like, I don't know, you know what I mean? Like I didn't really know where to start, but then I got some for my birthday and it's like slowly piled up and up and up over the few months.
Vinyl records are dangerous because to me, I'm also a collector of toys and specifically Pez dispensers, right? So.
Oh yeah, my sister is.
So once you have one Pez dispenser or one toy, and then you put a second one next to it, you're like, ooh, there's something here. And then you put a third one and it starts to line up. It's the same thing for vinyl for me as well. When I first started to collect vinyl, it was like, oh, I have these 10 records and this is cool. And then it started to become
more.
Like, oh yeah. And I have it, like in my collection, it's a little over 13,000 like LPs and probably around like 4,000 7-inches. So there's a lot there. There's definitely
Dominic definitely has me beat. I just started, but like as soon as I saw them, like you said, like lining up next to each other, I'm like, this is cool.
I'm positive that at least 3/4 of my record collection is just my dad's. Like, I would go through it and like, I like the Chicharrones. I'm gonna put this on like on the shelf. And there's like right over there's an old like Less Than Jake like 3-song sampler cassette like unopened.
Yeah. Is it the one that we did the split one? Because we did 2, right? We did one that was just Less Than Jake, and then we did another one that was a split with Jimmy Eat World.
Oh wait, I have it right here. I'm gonna go see if my headphones are long enough. I'm gonna see if my headphones are long enough.
It's cool. For Less Than Jake, I mean, we were always collectors, so we always did a lot of vinyl records, a lot of variations, a lot of everything. I mean, totally of Less Than Jake records, I think it clocks in around a little over the 400 mark.
Yeah.
Of releases, so which is wild.
This is the sampler.
Oh yeah. I recall we had so many boxes of those, and we were just live when we'd go on tour. We would just throw them out, and we made that when we signed to Capitol Records. So they made a bunch of like samplers we threw out. Go figure.
And then there's one CD, and it's like only for radio stations.
Yep. I again, there's so much that goes into it. When you're a collector and you're also a creator, you want to make everything. I mean, like, everything from merchandise. I can't even count the amount of different T-shirt designs that we've had, right? That Less Than Jake has had. And the same thing goes for variations on LPs. When you're a collector, you want to collect things. And when you're a creator who collects, you're like a kid in a candy store, right? You want to just like, we're going to do 500 of that color, 500 of that color. We're going to do 100 of those. We're going to do a picture disc over here. We're going to do that.
Split.
Yeah. And we got wild and kind of took advantage of it for a long time of, hey, we're collectors too. So we want to collect everything that we can.
Yeah, because I know Less Than Jake's definitely like Dominic's favorite band, but they mean a lot to us because that was like one of the first bands that kind of introduced me to like ska and punk rock and everything, thanks to Dominic. Yeah. But like JR was like our first actual
JR was our musician that we had on the podcast.
That's awesome. I always consider Less Than Jake a gateway for punk rockers into the ska world, right? Because
definitely for me, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that it's funny because I've talked to a bunch of people who are like, I listened to punk rock a lot, and then I found Less Than Jake, and then that opened up a whole new world of music. And I'm like, well, what are you listening to now? And they're like, oh, just like roots reggae and early ska, no punk rock at all, no Less Than Jake even. And I'm like, yeah, that's good that provided that gateway for a bunch of people, and I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for a while, the only two bands that existed were Black Sabbath and the Descendants. And I mean, Descendants was then the gateway to other punk rock, and Less Than Jake was the gateway to more ska. And I think that my dad's car and my mom's car had a lot to do with
Yeah, it's cool when you can have parents that understand and encourage like sort of musical exploration.
Yeah.
My daughter, she likes rap music, so, and very, very little punk rock, and who knows what'll happen at that, maybe. But when she's playing video games, I hear it's all like SoundCloud rap, and it's all like kind of trap rap as well. So it's like, okay, cool, and every time there's like a point where there's too much cursing, and I'm like,
whatever you want to do.
Yeah, it's like
right.
hey, I just heard like a dozen curses in like 30 seconds. I think you got to like change it. Like you just can't sit next to me and like have that happen. But that's the cool thing, we've bonded over some music, and I went, oh yeah, like this is great, right? And you could hear back and forth, it's like Machine Gun Kelly is one, right? So it's like,
I love Machine Gun Kelly. I'm sorry, I just had a whole fangirl moment.
Yeah, like
I'm sorry for cackling, but I knew that she was gonna like.
I love her.
It's crazy because I heard some Machine Gun Kelly that she was playing. I was like, who is this? And it's like, it's great. and she was like, oh, Machine Gun Kelly. I was like, oh, this is awesome. And then another one was a rapper called NP, and I had never heard of it before, and just like was so good, and so it's just like catchy, and the lyrics. I'm a lyric guy, so the lyrics were just like on point, and the execution was on point. So we bonded. But then when she tried to put WAP on, I was like, no way that's happening. Like, you gotta
I had to laugh. I'm sorry.
you gotta change this. Like, this is inappropriate. Like 15 seconds in, I was like, I know what song this is. There's no way that this is happening. You gotta skip.
Yeah, we know that song.
Yeah.
Fortunately.
That's a skip song around parents, man. It's like, dude,
yeah,
you can play that in front of me?
Yeah, my music is really all over the place. Like, yeah, when you said Machine Gun Kelly, I got way too excited. I love Machine Gun Kelly. I listen to some punk, I listen to Less Than Jake here and there. Like, I listen to a lot of alternative and pop punk. So
yeah, that's great.
And I listen to like some rap. Like, there's definitely a mixing pot there.
Yeah,
Machine Gun Kelly just put out a pop punk album, didn't he?
Yeah, 100%.
It's so good. I love Tickets to My Downfall. I actually got a signed CD copy of it. I was thinking about that when you mentioned the CD. So
it is a pretty wild record, because when I listened to it, I was like, this is just a pop punk record, and I didn't know that people were calling it a pop punk record, right?
Yeah.
Until I read a couple of reviews, and they're like, Machine Gun Kelly's pop punk record. It's just, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, obviously it is his pop punk record, right?
And he used like an Operation Ivy lyric, I'm pretty sure.
He did.
Yeah. And I think like a couple cents that he makes off of that has to go to like the guys in that band.
I follow Jesse from Jesse Michaels from Op Ivy, singer from Op Ivy. And he had called it out. He was like, hey, on this Machine Gun Kelly record, he sampled this little piece of Op Ivy, and now we cleared it, and this is what it is, and forever it's tied. So good for everybody involved, to be honest with you.
Right.
The more people that know Op Ivy is a better world for me, to be honest.
Yeah. I think like part of the reason I really got into him was because I really loved his lyrics, honestly. And the first stuff I heard was a lot of his like less known like type of pop punk stuff. I wasn't always immediately into the rap. And then I don't know, like he has a lot of punk rock roots. Like there's an old interview of him like freaking out over an interviewer giving him an Anti-Flag record. And I remember sending that to Dominic and being like, maybe this guy is kind of cool.
Yeah. You're like, do you know who Anti-Flag is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you were like, yeah.
Like, why? And then you sent me the video.
You know, and but that's cool though. It's like when you see people kind of reach across the aisle of what you don't expect, and all of a sudden it's something, especially with music. I think I always thought that it was pretty righteous when people I love also like obscure music I love as well.
Right, and I mean, find out like your two favorite bands are best friends, and you're like, oh my God, tour together.
I mean, like, no Operation Ivy, no Green Day, not a lot of bands.
No, it's true. You know, it's there's a moment for me with Green Day as well. I never saw it with Green Day as much as I saw it with Blink 182, right? And where Green Day was massive, but there wasn't a lot of Green Day sound alike. You know, it opened the door for pop punk, but it wasn't like, oh, this sounds just like Green Day, right? It was just melodic. But for me, Blink 182, when they became massive, they had such a distinct sound, and Travis Barker was just like so specific in his style that that became a flashpoint for, you know, hundreds of Midwestern bands that were starting. That, okay, we're going to set up our drums like this. This is the beat. This is how you're going to do the fill. This is how you're going to play it, right? And then the bass is going to follow the root note of the guitar, and this is how we're going to write pop punk, right? And it was a flashpoint for tons of bands when they were starting. It was like, we're going to sound like Blink 182. And very similar to ska punk. It was when ska punk had a brief window of popularity in the 90s, it lit, you know, this flame of people going, oh, we're going to start a band and it's going to sound exactly like Real Big Fish. Like you could tell, like, we ran into so many bands that you're like, oh, so you like Real Big Fish, or oh, you like Rancid, oh, you like No Doubt, because those influences were, you know, it's just right on their sleeve. Like, obviously, this is where this point, you know, of inspiration happened.
Yeah, I mean, like Blink-182 just has, it's like so many bands, even now, it just, you could put one of their songs on Enema of the State, and just like, it would work.
Yeah. You know, it's same as Fall Out Boy. When Fall Out Boy became popular, there was a massive mountain of other bands that used sort of the Fall Out Boy tricks of writing music.
Yeah, because it was like so funny that we've talked about these two bands, even like taking words out of my mouth. But yeah, I still listen to them sometimes, but I was like huge, like diehard Fall Out Boy fan, and I saw them on their Mania tour, and before I even knew who he was, caught the ending of Machine Gun Kelly's opening act. So it's kind of one of those moments where you're like, I wish I got there earlier. But yeah, I definitely, like, as a fan, noticed, because my mom knew them too, like, when I was growing up. I definitely noticed, like, that change in, like, oh, okay, they're being played on the radio now. Yeah.
Well, you know what? When it's specifically about Fall Out Boy, they're always super catchy, right? And I think that as a songwriter, you start to add in different elements of production and different like ideas and inspiration. And for some artists, it's just a very natural progression into more radio friendly material. That doesn't mean that they're trying to do that. It just means that's where they were. But it's crazy because there was a point early on with Fall Out Boy, Les and Jake toured with them. I put out first couple of records on Fueled by Ramen with them. And like when you hear, for me, there's very few bands that when I first heard them, I went, oh, they're going to be massive. And when you heard Patrick Stump, when you heard him sing, you went, oh my God, this is
you just kind of knew.
And the same goes for like Gym Class Heroes. You knew hearing early on Gym Class, you go, yeah, this is gonna be massive, just because there's something about it. I don't know what it is, just an X factor, right? You don't know what it is. You just know that it's good and could be great.
Yeah. I mean, one of these days, like, Kill Lincoln is going to be in like a Verizon commercial, and I can say, I saw them. I was front row in Baltimore when I saw them.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's crazy because you have, bands that are coming out, whether it be Kill Lincoln is a great example. Catbite is another example. Kind of go Omnigon is another example of ska and ska punk music that's newer bands, but starting to kind of rise.
We Are the Union is going to be huge.
Yeah, I think that Reed writes really good songs. I think that sticking into the headspace of ska punk music for me is always, you write what you like and you write what people like, is what my like thought pattern on, right? So I think that if bands, kind of stick to that headspace, then everything's going to be cool. I think that the moment that you go, well, people love ska punk music and they love ska punk music that we do, but I don't really love it, and I love whatever, poppy metal. So you go and do poppy metal as an artist, and as an artist, you're allowed to do anything you want, but you can't expect people that like you for this one thing to follow along with you as you go through your musical exploration, right?
Yeah. Bad Religion, like Into the Unknown. People hate that record because
they do.
Well, because it was their experiment record. I mean,
like you said, like with experiment records, and bands kind of try to change it up a little bit, I feel like it's always half and half. It's either people are like, yeah, we support you being versatile, or it's, yeah, I don't like this. And like, it's totally fine to have an opinion, but some people get very hateful.
Oh yeah, I mean, and some people want to keep you in a box. They want to keep the artist in the box, and then there's other fans that are do more of whatever you want, do more. And the band that I always kind of, when we're talking about this, I use the example of is Brand New. And Brand New started as a pop punk band, but slowly kept on creeping away from their original sound, and then crept away from the sound of the record before, and kept on morphing through every record. It was different, where it finally got to their last record was like almost a Nirvana, weird, like kind of like angrier, noisier Brand New than it's ever been before. But their fans applauded that sort of that exploration and that sort of thinking outside of who they were. And not a lot of bands could get away with that, though. Their fans want a specific thing, and that's all.
Yeah, like experiment records are seeing maybe if they like to play this a little bit more than what they are playing, and to see if people are still going to support them if they make an experiment record.
And the Less Than Jake record, experiment record, is in with the out crowd. And for a long time, people did not like that record until years later, where people are like, some of my favorite songs are off that record, and
right. And you kind of realize what the mindset was there, that we just want to try something new, like it's not always like we're never going back to what we did before, which I think is what a lot of fan bases get scared of. But like as a fan, like with any band, it's like, it's their choice. They're putting out the music. If I like it, I do. If I don't, I don't. That doesn't change my opinion on them personally. Like,
I mean, you have a choice whether or not you follow a band into their exploration, all right? And you buy, and if you buy into it, and some people do and some people don't. And there's an exploration that people could go, I like it when bands explore, and that's. And to be honest with you, there's some bands I love when they explore, when I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then there's other bands where I'm like, I don't want, I want my Bad Religion, right? I want my Bad Religion fast and sound like Bad Religion, not sound like the Hives or whatever. Like there's a few songs I heard, I went, that's weird to me. It sounds like garage rock. I want my Bad Religion to sound like Bad Religion. That's greedy of me, right? But it just is.
Yeah, and I agree. Go ahead, Dominic.
Sorry. Now Less Than Jake is starting to play like songs from In With the Out Crowd, and now Bad Religion is slowly starting to put in songs from Into the Unknown. And all experiment records. Some people are gonna hate them when they first come out. Some people are going to love them when they first come out. But I feel like it's just gonna grow on everybody. I don't know.
But like you were saying when you were talking about how there's some that you want to stay the same, I feel like to me it's a lot of the bands I grew up with because it's more of a nostalgia thing. So I'm like, when they change, it's almost like I get like scared because I'm not used to that. Like I'm used to listening to the same songs over and over again by them. But when I, now when I'm older, like I see new bands, I'm like, okay, go ahead, do what you want.
Yeah, it's true. I think that it's all about what you feel, and if you feel that you want to support that exploration, and sometimes it's, what, I love the band like this, and I kind of like the band like this where they're going. Let's see what the next record's going to be and see where it's at, right? And that's 100% fair. And there's some people that are artists that get mad at that went, well, what, you won't support, and we don't support the band anymore, and we're just trying to be artists and move. And it's unfair to expect always people to go on that trip with you. It's your trip. It's the band's trip, just like your trip is something else, and you're not asking the band to do that. So I don't know.
There would be a lot of stuff that wasn't learned if experiments always went right. So
it's true.
I don't know how they always, like you said, there's a lot of bands that get mad at their fans and they don't support them. And it's like, well, I mean, if you listen to a metal band and they turn into a country band, are you going to support them? Like they have to sometimes go into the fans' perspective as the fans have to go into the artist.
100%. And I think that as the world moves, right, and there's more music that's accessible than there's ever been, right? You don't have to kind of give it that first song test anymore. You can go, oh, I don't like it, fast forward. 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 And, oh, I like this song, save it to a playlist. I don't like the next one. I like this song, save it to a playlist. And you don't have to revisit that, again. You can just cherry pick the songs and move. You don't have to kind of force yourself to like a record, because I could tell you that if I spent, $17 on a record, like 20 years ago or whatever, I would almost force myself to try to like that record. It's like, I already bought it, so I guess I have to try to like it, and I spent my money on it, and I would give records much more of a shot and a chance when I spent a ton of money on it. Now with streaming, I'm like, don't like it. Ooh, I love this. It goes over to the playlist.
Yeah. Well, Vinny, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah.
This was fun. Thank you for having me.
Oh, no problem. Absolutely. Thank you so much. It was a great conversation.
Right on. Well, thanks for having me. And good luck with everything else and all the other episodes.
Oh, thank you.
When we have it edited and it's about to go out, we'll send you the link.
definitely do it, and I'll post it up, so it'll be good.
All right. Thank you.
I think
thanks, guys.
This is supposed to come out on Saturday, so soon.
Yeah.
Just let me know and send me a link when it's ready.
All right. Thank you.
Awesome. Take it easy, guys.
Bye.
You too. Bye.